take one of those and pass it. Was it just right? I'm going to be working off of. We see you. We know you're here.
In the background.
Probably, did you get one?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You want one?
You got one.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Snow Library Board of Trustees meeting. It's Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 at 4:30 in the afternoon. And we welcome everybody who wants to join us via Zoom. The meeting is live right now. I'm going to start with public comment. If anybody has anything that they want to add for public comment for our meeting. Okay, so seeing no comment. We're moving on to our third item. This is our second time that we've had a happenings at Snow Library. We're hoping to have an ongoing series of getting updates from staff and other participants with library programs, talking to the public about the things that we do at Snow Library and maybe some of the background information that's involved with those projects. Joining us this month is the Youth Services Librarian, Kim Auclair. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So Kim's passed out a handout, and she's going to go through a general overview of the weekly, monthly, and seasonal things that she works on. And hopefully, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and stop her so that we can talk about that topic when she's at that topic. So thanks so much for joining us, Kim.
Yeah.
Turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I have been in this position for June of this year will be 2 years that I've been in this position. And I can say that I am absolutely in love with my job. I feel like I am living a dream every time I step through the doors. A lot of these programs were handed over to me. I just kind of took them over, and a lot of things we added to the current lineup. Things like the story time and craft are standards in the library. We kept the Thursday 10:30 time, and I added a infant and toddler play group on Fridays. These were all things. Something like that was something that, having 3 kids of my own, we were at a library every day when they were little. This stuff, I think, is vital to the community. It is absolutely amazing seeing the friendships among the caregivers that has just grown with these groups, people walking in, not knowing each other, and then meeting week after week after week. And then before you know it, the moms are getting together for dinner and celebrating birthdays with each other, never mind with the kids. It's just absolutely amazing seeing this stuff happen. So those 2 things happen every Thursday and Friday. Things like the music and movement with Carrie Lardner. She's local. She's done the library circuit. She has a huge following. She has done 2 8-week sessions already. In March, we're going to be starting a toddler dance class with a local dance teacher who I met at the toddler group. Those are things that we have every week for the infants and toddlers, the pre-K group, if you will. Another thing that is just constantly on my mind in this library is the middle schoolers. Obviously, as you know, the middle school is right next door, and they come spilling over afterwards. And I would love for this place to be so much more than just a stopping point between here and the Sparrow, or a place that their parents are making them go that before they pick them up. And the middle school age is very difficult to engage with. I have middle schoolers of my own, and they just do their thing. They do their thing. They're with their friends and they're content with that, and that's fine. But I would love to have this place be like, oh, do you remember when we used to do this at the library? Or do you remember, just something more than just a stopping ground. So in the past, we did Friday afternoon movies. It worked. It wasn't huge. It's something that we may try again in the future. I did put an art cart up in the young adult area. I picked their brains with what kind of things that I thought we should have on there. And I listened to them and I filled it up, and it is being used. I check it every day and I replenish it when I need to. The end of the month, I'm going to be starting a junk journaling drop-in just for middle school students down in the Snow Studio. I'm going to do it 2 afternoons a week for an hour. No sign up, no commitment. I'm going to explain to them what junk journaling is. It's kind of the new term for scrapbooking, if you will. And we have all of the stickers, the tape, the glue, the glitter, the whatever. They just need to bring their junk. They need to bring their wrappers and their notes and their pictures and whatever. And they can just come and chat. They can ignore me if they want. They can talk with me if they want. They can bring friends. They can come once a month. They can come twice a week, whatever they want. And we'll do it indefinitely. We'll see if it works. I think it will. Other things that we have going on, obviously, are all of the toys in the children's room, which are huge. They just keep bringing kids in. It's a place to hang out. The kids can play while their caregivers are picking out books or hanging out and just relaxing, getting together. People are lingering a little bit longer because of the toys and just I get all the time, this space is home. The space is home. Kids take off their shoes when they come in. And I think that is the ultimate compliment. I think it truly is. Can we take off our shoes? Yes, I say you don't take your shoes off when you go to the grocery store. You take your shoes off when you're home. When you're home. In the library, there's always in the bulletin board in the children's room. It's always interactive, if you will. Right now, I have a little string of blank mittens up. Take a mitten down, write up your favorite book. Need a good book idea? Go look at the bulletin board. These are all your peers. These are all your friends. What are they reading? You can ask me what I'm reading, but what are they reading? If there is a book up there that we do not have in the collection, I am buying it. If other kids are reading it, we should have it. And then, so that's it for weekly things. Monthly, I do a last Monday of the month craft. The last Monday of every month, I do a craft for all ages. That is probably one of my favorite things that we do. I love, love, love seeing elderly women sitting with little 2-year-olds. My favorite is when, for a few months in a row, I had high school boys joining us. They kind of stumbled upon it and they said, "Can we come back?" Yes, you can come back. It was awesome. It has grown. It started off in the Snow Studio. The last one, I think, for Decorated Dish, we had 45 people come. So I had to have it in the crane room because it just blew up. And I don't do registration. I only suggest to sign up so I have enough materials. I will go out and buy more materials. I don't want to turn anybody away. But we've done charm bracelets, we've done sea glass art, we've done magnets. We did bring in your Yeti water bottles, and I brought stickers, and you can make your own stickers and decorate and personalize. And it's not, sitting and painting. It's always something relaxing and sharing ideas, talking, and just getting to know the stranger next to you type of vibe. Everybody leaves with a smile on your face. Everybody is like, "What are you doing next month?" Everybody comes back, hence the growing to 45 people from the 10 that we started with. Saturday morning Lego club, at least once a month. Saturday morning, I dump out the insane amount of Legos that were all generously donated by our patrons. I put up a sign saying we needed Legos, and it was a bag here, a box here. Look what I found at the swap shop. I found these under my kid's bed. And it has grown, and I have so many Legos just to dump out on the floor on Saturday mornings, and the kids build and we talk. and I'm looking for a piece this size. I'm looking for this person, and everybody's swapping and trading and showing each other what they're building. And I whatever is built, I put on display in the children's room. All the other patrons that come in love coming in and seeing what everybody has built. Another thing that we did, and I would have loved to see continue, but unfortunately did not, was the Japanese pen pals. A young gentleman that used to work here went to teach English in Japan. He reached out to me and said, would you like to exchange letters with my students? Absolutely. And so a group of about maybe 8 local students exchanged letters with them. Probably if we did it once a month, twice a month for, oh God, maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe, but I want to say probably 6 or 7 letters were exchanged. Then he lost his job or left his job. That's how it fizzled out. We would have kept going, but he left, he moved on, and it fizzled out, unfortunately. And then we have our seasonal things. The family dance party, I have one coming up during February vacation. I do it every school break and then once in the summer. Everybody's excited for it. I have flashing lights, glow sticks. I ask everybody what their favorite song is. We have popcorn, and we put the lights down in the crane room, and the kids jump around and dance for an hour and a half, and it's really fun. This past summer, I had the Firebirds. Every week for the entire season, 3 Firebirds came over and read stories outside. It was really adorable. It was really, really fun. And then ran like special story times. We participated in the Solstice Weekend, Pride Weekend, and the local art week in town. We hosted a story time here and did a craft to go along with it. Of course, the summer reading program, which Snow Library has always participated in. We had local businesses generously donate prizes, which we displayed. Kids earned raffle tickets for books that were being read. And at the end, we did an ice cream party where we drew the names for the winners. The Lego Build and Keep event, the Friends of Snow Library donated about 20 Lego sets. Huge popular event, fills up quick. The kids can come and hang out and build their Lego sets with each other and then keep them and bring them home. The gingerbread house, which Make Your Gingerbread House, has been going on for 20 years probably. I think 50 people came this year to that. That was huge. Every season I change out the story walk, the book on the story walk trail on Tonsett Road. And then of course our performers, Toe Jam Puppet Band, Jungle Gym, Animal Ambassadors. We may have set a record with 115 people came this year to that.
Wow.
And yes, I was worried that we hit capacity, but capacity is 124, I think. Yes, but 115 people came to Animal Ambassadors this
That one
summer.
has a reputation.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Yes. And then Caribbean and April Jones Prince came to do some author talks and teach some things to the kids, and they were both adorable and amazing. It was so much fun. So that was this past year. That was just this year alone, and it was an amazing year. It was so much fun. Sorry, I just threw a lot at you.
No, make sure to breathe. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful to see now that you're getting, you're starting to add years to your experience.
Mm-hmm.
You brought many, many new programs online. I find that the toddler play group, it's wonderful that you're doing that, especially because, baby's first year, and then we've got kids able to come in, drop in anytime that they want. But then I sort of always wanted that next step, because so many of the other libraries have that for slightly older kids to be able to run around in circles.
Right.
Do you feel like you have enough equipment for their needs?
I do.
Okay.
It's actually a giant puzzle that's hidden away in that cabinet in there.
Great.
But we have in there, believe it or not, is a slide, a swing, and like climbing structures and foam blocks, and everything is compact and foldable. And it's pretty amazing
Oh, that's
what I can fit in there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions they wanted to ask Kim about the stuff that she's doing?
Kim, is the programming with OCT going to continue this coming year?
If that, so that was a success. That was pretty cool. If anybody doesn't know, we partnered with the Orleans Conservation Trust for 6 weeks of story time. I kept my typical Thursday story time, and they sponsored it, and there were people here representing them. They spoke a little bit about what they do, and then had brought flowers one week, and we planted flowers, and then it helped kind of theme my story time. Everything was local. We did like local flowers, local trees, and it just kind of worked for both of us. I think it kind of gave them like a little boost, and then also, yeah, it kind of helped me like plan my story times. It was really fun. But I really liked the collaborations. I think all in all, everyone around Orleans is trying to collaborate and kind of like help each other out a little bit. So yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I haven't kept up with it, but the removal of the computer terminals, has that gone okay?
It has gone, in my opinion, so much better than expected. I think we were all kind of slightly holding our breath, preparing for the worst. We had a backup plan, like, okay, so what happens if everybody is rushing to the computers? What's our answer if everybody's asking where they are?
Nothing.
Nothing. Literally, like the week we got rid of them, 2 people came in asking where they are. That was it. There are some of the middle schoolers that come and use the computers in the adult area to play, and they know the rules. There's a time limit, as has always been. If people are waiting, there's a time limit. Keep your volume down. And it's already February, and it is going so well.
Great.
It's going so well. It really is. Yeah.
How about the Chromebook that was prepared? Do we have any data on whether that's been checked out at all by anybody?
So the software to go on it, in fact, I talked to Alex in the IT department this week, and we're still trying to find something to put on there that's going to work with it. So in other words, to not let them go to certain sites.
Yeah. Now, are there limits on the desktop computers? Is there software installed now on these public computers that limits where they can go?
No.
Okay.
But there was never on the children's,
On the children's
either.
one, yeah.
The reason that we wanted it on the Chromebooks is because although you can't check them out, you can take the Chromebook anywhere. Whereas with those computers, we can see what people are looking at on there. But if you bring the Chromebook to some other part of the library, you wouldn't be able to.
Nobody can see it, right? Well, that's good news. So on the same topic, middle schoolers, what sort of things are you thinking about in terms of, I know improvements to the mezzanine level as something that's been talked about, maybe making it
more comfortable,
but not too comfortable.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. I mean, space is limited because we do house some of the adult collection up there too. The audiobooks and the playaways are up there as well. So we can't exactly just like take over. I mean, in a perfect world, we would just get rid of all the shelves up there and put, more furniture and stuff. They do work up there, so we are limited in space. We can't quite get rid of all of the tables up there, so it's getting rid of a couple tables, maybe putting some lower comfortable chairs. It's definitely on the agenda for sure. Space is so tight up there. I mean, I would love to get some more shelves up there for books. Every time I'm purchasing books, and then the new books are then going to the old collection, I have to get rid of some of the older books because there's no room.
Yeah.
It's it's extremely frustrating.
Is there a
It's
weight
extremely
limit that
frustrating.
we have to observe too, Tavi, for that level?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but the actual number, but all I know is I was told by a structural engineer and also by Ron Collins, don't put any more weight up there. You've got as much weight as you're gonna put up there right now. No more shelving units, no more carts, no more extra furniture.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
Well,
there-
take
there's-
something out.
Okay, yeah.
well, that's kind of the policy the library is dealing with on multiple levels.
Yeah.
In terms of space
Yeah.
issues, that older books are being thinned out to make space for the newer books, and it's a difficult and complex issue.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
having the CDs and playways up there is later than having
Oh,
those shelves full of books.
I'm
because that
sure.
would be a real issue.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we look forward to hearing from you in terms of improvements to that level, because I do think that in experiencing it myself right now, it's hard because middle schoolers have this thing where they've got newfound independence, and
hmm
the 245 comes, and the last thing that they want is more structure. You know what I mean?
Right. And I do understand. In my mind, I would love to have them run over here and have program. They might not want that. They might just be totally content sitting up there, but just an option, because some of them, like I said, I put the card up there and it's clearly being used.
Sure.
So just something to just do with your hands and do with your mind at your own, not saying you have to paint this picture, you have to do this, but just, we have the resources here. There's the snow studio downstairs. We have so many materials. Just like I said, I want
And
that.
kind of testing out things. And
Yes.
seeing if it flows.
Yeah. And just to be able to look back at this place and just associate it with just, remember, just remember we used to do that there, or, I would love that. Yeah.
That's great. Any more questions?
I have two quick questions. One, and I realize where I am when I'm asking this question, but I'm also, when we're talking about middle schoolers, could you feed them anything? Or
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh, definitely. Yes. When we did the movies,
I feel
we
like
did.
that's always
Yes, we had popcorn and candy, and I think that's probably why they came.
Yeah.
And
it
that's
goes
okay.
a long way.
It goes a long way.
Yeah.
If I do the thing down in the snow studio, there will be, it's
Snack.
already on. I
Yeah.
have the thing printed up and I said snacks will be served.
Yeah.
We will, if it's contained, and yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the other question is, on some of these activities, is there still collaboration and funding with Cape Cod Children's Place, or has that sort of
So
gone
that's
away?
kind of when I started here, there was baby's first year. Baby's first year was the only thing that was still going on, and that just kind of like fizzled. No
Yeah.
one was showing up, and it just kind of fizzled. I have been emailing back and forth with them literally like up until like days ago to try to get a music and movement on their end.
Mhm.
As you know, anything through them is, you have to register.
Yeah.
You can't just like stroll in. So I have been conscious on my end not to schedule it during a story time. I don't want the kid, not for like competitive reasons. I just don't want the children coming in and being like, Mom, why can't I go in there?
Right.
And having the parent have to explain, you can't.
Mhm.
I didn't sign you up or whatever.
Mhm.
So that narrows down the times. Then we're competing with Lifetime Learning. There's many, whatever. Needless to say, we could not come up with a time. I would love to have them do things here. Like we have been trying, but it looks like on their end, nothing is going to happen.
Are you still on their calendar? Or, I'm sorry, I probably sound like my kids are
What
45 and they're not, but like when my kids were little, which was not that long ago, there was like the Cape Cod Children's Place put out a calendar that had, just like you said, I also, every day of the week we hit a different library
Right.
for their activity, but it was all on that shared calendar. So you knew Mondays you're in Eastham, Friday was Wellfleet with the big room with the wheels and the blocks and that sort of thing
I
Wednesday.
don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was, I mean,
yeah.
it was a big deal.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
they got substantial grants a
Yeah.
few years ago, and I
Yes.
think they became much more of their own insular operation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they, yeah.
But I think that some of that has stopped. And so I'm wondering, do you know if Baby's first year went somewhere else? Because that was something that was really the pride and joy of
Well,
what.
It
they used to do it
was.
in all the libraries. They used to do it in Eastham, they used to do it in Brewster,
Ah.
and they
You
used to do
could
it
bop
in.
around day to day and find
Right.
like a
just-
but
story
like-
hour in craft every morning
But
of the
there's
week.
not a lot of babies in rooms.
Yeah.
Like no one, like literally no
right.
one was coming.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's
Yeah. So I don't know.
yeah, it'd be wonderful if there's some way to bring it back, but you're right. Just,
Well, I
you know,
think what she's doing with the toddler play thing is, it's broader, and people, I'm sure that you have a little, don't you have a little pool with?
Oh, there's
So there's
it's
stuff that
infant
the
and
younger,
toddler. Oh
that the
yes.
really little kids can do,
Yes.
and then there's stuff that the slightly
Right.
more
Oh, yeah.
toddlery kids
Yeah.
can do.
Well,
Yeah.
it sounds just like what I used to do, but at that point it was funded by an outside, by the
Right.
children's. So that's the only thing is I'm wondering if there's a way to get some assistance with funding from a bigger organization like that, but clearly it's been a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
keep on working with them and developing the relationship.
Oh, definitely. We're
very
we're
important.
in touch often. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I would love to have them. I would love to have them have something here. We all would. Yeah, we have the space, so definitely why not utilize it? Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I remember being a Lucy junkie.
Oh my
and
God.
Wherever Lucy was.
Oh, we were
with her
there.
play group.
Yeah.
We were there.
Because it really comes down to mental wellness and your ability to cope. And we were
Yes.
getting such good interaction with other parents saying, well, yeah, my son or daughter's having the exact same problem you are. And you're like, oh, that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
And it does lead to one activity does, you see people at one thing and then we did Wellfleet Audubon used to do something
Oh, that was
with
the
them, like those
best.
hike hikes and everything,
Yes.
right? Like you do get to know, it's a nice way even just to get to know the Cape if
Yep.
you're a relatively new person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Well, this is incredible.
Last question I have is funding. Are you doing okay for most of your project requests? Are you going to the Friends of Snow Library, or are you able to use?
Trust grants.
Yeah.
A lot of the bigger performers are I have a new, who did I just get? The PT Theater. I have a new juggler is coming this summer. He reached out to me. I liked what I saw on all of his things. And then one other one I think is coming from fully funded by grants.
Great.
Those were all done last October, and all the approvals are just starting to come in now. But yeah, Friends does some, and then a lot of the trusts still. So
Sure.
yeah, so far so good on all that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good.
And do you need anything from us?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Is that like the right answer? I mean, I
I
Never
think the
hurts to
point is
ask.
that you should know that you can come to us if you do need
yes,
anything
Yeah.
from us.
yes,
Very
yeah. Yeah, no, I think I'm good at the moment. But everything is I'm just loving I'm loving all the day-to-day stuff, and this is the fun part, but even more so just you never know who's going to walk in the door and what questions you're going to get asked and who needs help and talking to, and it's just all of it. It's just amazing. I love it. I love my job. It's
Great.
the best.
Well, we're
Yeah.
really lucky that you're here. Thank you so
Oh,
much. for
yeah,
everything.
no, thank you.
Great. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. The update on the exterior vegetation cutback. I know that we've got a lot of white stuff outside the building, slightly blocking our view of assessing it. But the DPW did quite a bit of vegetation cutback about 2 months ago.
No, they came at the very end of January.
Oh, so less.
Yeah, he had told us they would come by February. And they came at I think the last week in January, but they did a really good job.
Okay.
The only thing that I'm aware of that we talked about that they didn't do is right out here, I think it's a birch tree, is split. And part of it goes in front of Tavi's office window. And when we talked, that day, he had said that he would be able to remove that piece of the birch tree. The birch tree literally goes like this.
Yep.
And that hasn't been done. So that one corner right here, and it maybe they were working their way around the building, but before it snowed, I walked around the building and looked to see what they had done. And at that point, there was actually a hydrangea left up in the front corner that was too close to the building. But when I looked the next week, it was gone. So I think they came a couple times. So
Okay.
And he pointed out that he had built when we did the assessment, he pointed out that new arbor that he built up above the parking area, and I think that that is really beautiful. I mean, he made it much nicer than he would have had to if he was just
The
doing
safety
it
fencing,
basically.
yeah.
It really, he did a great job for that, and he planted things to grow up along it, so it's like an arbor.
Yep, that'll be really nice. Very
Yeah.
exciting to see.
Yeah, he did a great job.
And I was talking with one of the staff members and they said that they've got water there already.
Yes, there is water. There's water there, and I think there was some up in the front.
Yeah.
We were noting the water.
So it'd be wonderful to see the wildflower beds go in and stuff growing up on that edge. You know, when the middle schoolers come down, it's sort of like a flood. Some
That's
go
sort of what we were
off to the
concerned
side.
about.
Yeah.
That's
And-
why we were talking
And it's
about it.
interesting with the fencing, what I watch is they go way over to the friend side and then they sort of walk down the edge where only little feet that are very agile can do. But
I think it's the nature of the middle school beast
Yeah.
that they're going to find an alternate route when they can.
Mark, do you have any thoughts about it?
I also reached out to Andrew from DPW just to confirm all of this and just to hear from him. And I talked with Tavi about it today.
Good.
We do think that there are 2 trees that he said he wanted to take down entirely because they were at the end of their life, which my guess is that they have to have an arborist take them down.
Okay.
There's that. And then I think right near where the mailbox is, we'd sort of pointed out something that it's not.
A prickly bush. They had cut it back.
Yeah.
But you said you wanted it removed.
Well, yes.
Because it is a prickly bush and it's sort of between, it's where people might walk.
Yeah.
At that point, it was so big, it was coming out onto the path where people walk regularly.
Yeah.
But they did trim it back,
Yeah.
but they didn't remove it.
Yeah. We did find out that that's the one place that there isn't irrigation because when they redid the sidewalk, they cut the irrigation. So that doesn't get anything, but they think they can plant something that won't require a lot of water
Okay,
and is native.
right. Very important. Okay, that's great. And I'm glad that I forgot to ask him that question. How is it to have a whole bunch of natural light pouring into the children's area? Because before the roadies were all the way up and blocking.
Yeah, I think it'll help with the reading room too, because they were actually blocking even the high windows in the magazine reading room.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything, Tavi, positive or negative?
The sun isn't there yet. The sun's still sort of over here. In the spring, you'll see it.
Yeah, I haven't heard either.
Okay. Okay. Switching gears to the Cummings photographs reorganization. Mark, do you want to give a little background too? Because it's been
Absolutely.
a little while
Absolutely. I am, while I'm talking, going to pass around this envelope, not for you to laugh at, but just to look at because I'm going to come back to it a little bit later. They're old photographs, and so I want to talk about them. The Cummings collection, for those of you that don't know, these are examples on the wall here. They're taken from glass plate negatives, of which we have about 750 of them, taken from later in the 19th century until early in the 20th, much of it in Orleans, some of it the Cape, and some as far away as Plymouth. The old Plymouth Rock structure is one of the subjects. I had approached the people at the Boston Public Library and Digital Commonwealth to see if they'd be interested in scanning these and having them ingested into the Digital Commonwealth. They said yes. We were visited by them at some point last year, and they basically said, oh, this is interesting, but you need to renumber the whole collection from 1 to whatever. We can't use your numbers. about half of the collection is housed in acid-free envelopes. They're about this size, and the other half was not. We had thought that the other group that are not housed were duplicates. They actually are originals in the numbering scheme. And so once I finish one part of the project, I then want to go and put all of them in acid-free envelopes. You have to wear gloves to do this. You have to be careful not to ruin the image because they're very fragile and they're glass, as I said. But what I've been doing in the last couple of weeks is to renumber them and comparing them against the inventory that was created several years ago. And it's tedious and time consuming, and it's my penance for something. But I'm getting to the end of it, which is great. And then we will reach out again to the Digital Commonwealth, assume that all is still working well with them in terms of funding, and move this project to the next stage of getting them to Boston, I hope. And Tavi was able to acquire some new acid-free boxes for them to be stored in. We have some of them in these boxes now, but the part that needs to still be rehoused need to be put into these boxes. So that'll be part of the process.
Do they still do the thing with the Digital Commonwealth where they will come out to a town and people bring their pictures to them?
I didn't ask them that.
They used to do that around the Commonwealth, and that was when they first started. So they were probably trying to, build a collection.
Yeah.
But I always thought that would be very cool if they would come, because there are people in Orleans who have some old pictures from town. I mean, the Cummings collection is, really a wonderful resource.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the glass plates were that small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, isn't that interesting? I always assumed they were these kind of glass plates.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Anyway, that's that. So in order to stretch when I've been up in the special collections room, I've been poking my head into cabinets and things like this. And I found a bunch of other things that I just wanted to raise with you all in line with looking at that collection, and tell you some other ideas I have. The first is that there's a set of the 11th edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, which was created around the turn of the 20th century at the point when the British Empire was at its height. And so it was considered the intellectual resource of the day. It is somewhat of a collector's item, but condition is ultimately of importance when someone wants it. It is in leather bindings that are falling apart and disintegrating. The text block, as we say, is fine, but the rest of it is not. It is not part of the collection. I've never asked Tavi if you know how we got it in the first place, but I think it's lost in the mists of time. The Friends did look at it at some point, and they reached out to the Brattle Books shop in Boston to get an idea if it's sellable. They said no, it wasn't. But I raised this with Tracy Sally again, and she's going to look into it with people in the Friends who deal with the book sales. But I think because it's not part of the collection, I'd like to just recommend that it leave the library, unless somebody had any strong opinions otherwise. That's one thing. There's also a collection of about 25 VHS tapes, which I'm sure we've all got VHS players to this day. But they're mostly things that were created by several Cape Cod video companies that are no longer in existence, but they are somewhat of interest. And I'm going to recommend that we actually have those formatted into something else that's more usable now, and go from there. There are a couple things that sort of cross the border into, well, if this was today, would we collect it? For example, I think it was either a program that was done at the Orleans Historical Society at the time or here with them, for example, about collecting inkwells. Well, it's not really in scope for our special collections, and maybe we wouldn't collect that in a book form or anything like that today, but we've got it, and I'm not going to futz with it one way or the other, but that's an example of something that's probably peripheral. We also have an interesting resource of, I believe, a townsperson at some point produced on that old fax type paper that's sort of shiny, if you remember that. Old shipwreck logs, handwritten from about the 19th century to the early teens of the 20th century. And they're all printed out in a binder. And there's one of those old, 3.5-inch square diskettes that we used to use. And the paper is pretty useless because one sheet of paper represents half of a page, and so you need 3 pages to look at the actual log. So I'm going to see if we can get someone to redo that diskette into something that's more digital friendly and see how we can make that useful. And then I also, as you may know, we are the access point for the Cape Codder going back to 1946. And a lot of it has been digitized and is available through the library's website. I realized when I went back to the Digital Commonwealth site that they are also interested in harvesting data. And I haven't yet spoken to them, but I'm going to see whether they would be interested in harvesting that data from us and ingesting it into the Digital Commonwealth. And that would be a way to get it more usable for anyone that goes to the Digital Commonwealth. I did call the company that now hosts that resource for us, and they said that there's no restriction on us allowing somebody to do that. So that would be a great way to get things out there. And then back to photographs, that envelope that is at the end of the table there is just an example of some of the photographs that are up there that are random photographs that you might find in your own personal collection, taken askew, fading quickly, unidentified.
It doesn't even have the year on it.
Yeah. And I'm just sort of curious, are they things that we should think about keeping, or are they things that we might say goodbye to? I was just curious.
I feel like you could do something fun with those, couldn't you?
Yeah, I just wanted audience opinion on it.
That one was of the rhododendron when they were first planted out at the front corner. I mean, I think some of those were when they first opened this building.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's one or two that are from the book sale when I guess we used to do it outside. And
different Orleans.
Yeah,
You mean because there are so many kids?
yeah, I like that one, that picture.
Yeah, there are a couple of group ones that I think would be nice to keep.
Mark, I wanted to ask you a question. Have you worked at all with the archivist at the community college?
I've not spoken to them.
In the 70s, when the individual libraries were just discovering that they could collaborate on anything, they decided, because the community college had an archivist and none of the little town libraries did, that a lot of the towns gave their memorabilia to the archives at the community college. And I knew that because I went to Brewster around then. And it happened before I came in 1983. And it was certainly before the Digital Commonwealth had started. So you might want to check in. I know they still had an archivist 10 years ago, but I'm not sure if they still do, if they've abandoned that responsibility, but it might be something you just want to be in touch with if you're working with these things.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if Orleans gave a bunch of their stuff to them or not. So,
I'll reach out.
Yeah.
So there are those photographs. Then this is a specific group. There are about, I would say, 20 of these images of when they refurbished the windmill that in
That's really
thinking
cool.
about it, I wonder if maybe the Cape Cod Times or the Cape Codder did an article, and these are the result of any photo shoot that was done. I don't know. They're not identified. Um, I wouldn't think to come to the library probably for these. I would think might go to the show for these, and I was curious what anyone might think of that.
Does Joe have an archivist?
They have some, but they've asked for CPC money to work on their collection. And
this coming year, they're asking for that.
yeah,
See,
so
my concern would be if no one there has archival training, they might not exist in 10 years.
right. Right. So, I mean,
I
it's
think we
something
should
like
keep them
this
if
is like,
nobody else.
do we keep it because it's here, or do we find a home that's more appropriate for it? Or based on our collecting guidelines, it sort of falls into a gray area.
Yeah, I know people used to come for those kinds of things in Eastham, but the Eastham windmill is perhaps more prominent than the Orleans windmill. But we definitely had people who came and asked about the history of the windmill and why it was still there and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
So anyway, those are some of the things I'm finding.
That's, thank you so much for spending all the time
Yeah.
on this project. I wanted to ask you about the Cummings collection. Are you using somewhat of a similar numerical system that was in existence before, or did you start new? Did you create new categories?
I had to basically start, it's within a box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, next
Okay.
box, 51, 52, 53. So they just needed some sort of sequential renumbering of things. I'm not changing the existing numbering that was done years ago. I had to just start a new one for really specifically for this scanning project.
Were you surprised with any missing numbers, or?
Oh, there's a whole book of missing numbers that was done by Bobby Eldridge when she was working on the collection, which is in a handwritten in a little binder that I'm typing out and getting it electronic so that it can be stored somewhere in a much better way than it is now. But yeah, there are, I think it's something like 200 missing of negatives, glass plate negatives.
Wow.
So
What do you think happened to them? I think they were.
what do you think
I
happened?
think they were carried out.
A lot of them broke. They were not cared for very well even before they got here. There were so many. I mean, H.K. Cummings used to hand them out to everyone. My understanding is the story is that he got to the point where he was just storing them everywhere around where he was, and if one broke, it didn't matter.
Sure.
And in those days, he would send them. I think, can't remember if you told me this, Tavi, or I read it. He would send them to Boston to be reproduced by train, I think, and of course, like that, it would undoubtedly break too.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing. Any other questions for Mark in his project work? Well, I think it's just really important for you to keep on going and keep on touching base with Tavi, and if there's general issues that you feel like you want to bring back to the trustees, by all means. My sense about the leather Britannica is that if it's falling apart and it doesn't really have a lot of value, just make sure you've done a lot of research before you make that decision.
Yep.
Great. Thanks so much. Okay. Switching gears to the capital improvement plan and the new Snow Library project. We talked about this a couple of times, and I had some interaction with Mark Reel from the town manager's office yesterday in regards to where the CIP is, and it's mostly done for this coming year. It doesn't mean that small changes can't be made to it. Last year, the new Snow Library project was in there under fiscal year 27 for 41.6 million. What we've been talking about and what I think would be the best approach would be to divide the project out into a design phase and then a construction phase. the fire station was initially looking to do the entire project as $1 amount and ended up breaking it into 2 projects after issues were raised about whether it could be done that way. So, you know, the sequence typically is feasibility study, design work, and then construction work. So, in going back and forth, what I asked him is if for fiscal year 28, we could do $4.1 million for design for the new library, and then for fiscal year 29, do 37.6 for construction, million for construction. And I know that these numbers are probably not sufficient and they would need to be reevaluated. I think that it's very important for us to continue to have this project in the CIP moving ahead. And it seems like that tomorrow night, when the select board is working on budget stuff, there might be an opportunity for this to come up in a discussion. And I wanted to see whether the trustees are in support of us doing this.
I think you're right. That's how we used to do all the buildings, you know, that's how the MBLC used to do all the building projects. And then a new person came into the position of working with the libraries and they decided to start doing it as one chunk because of course, sometimes they did the design development, and then it didn't go forward. But that's how they were always done. And that's how Brewster was done. That's how Eastham was done. You know, so I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's a very good idea. You can't do it all in 1 year anyway. You know, it's going to take probably 1.5 years for the design development. You know, just from my experience of, you know, from rough design to actual plans, you know, that's like 3 different iterations of your plans. So I think you're right.
Any other opinions?
Good.
Okay. So we don't necessarily have to have a vote on that, but I'll work with Tavi and our liaison, so that tomorrow, if it does come up, it's something that we can talk about in public and see if we can make that change. There was language, as you recall, making it so that the library project was pushed back from 27 to 28. And so this still adheres to that. But at least it works better relative to what we've been talking about for goals and short-term goals. Okay, thank you. Turning to Bill, talking about the financial report for this month.
Yeah, before we do that on the library rebuild,
Sure.
And this is inspired by Elaine. Is the library definitely going to be here on this site?
Oh, in this location?
Yes.
I was on the committee for the feasibility study.
Uh-huh.
And we considered there, of course, there isn't a lot of open land. We considered both this site and a site across from Town Hall because the MBLC requires that you consider at least 2 sites. And the architect actually did rough plans for each site that included all the space that we needed because of the building program. And the committee voted unanimously to keep the library here. There were a lot of reasons. First of all, he figured out how to do it on this site. And then we just felt a lot of towns use the library as part of a downtown attraction. There's a thing in urban planning where you want to have 3 main things that draw people to the downtown area. And a lot of towns do rebuild their libraries, particularly to, like Quincy, put their library in the middle of town for that reason. And so that was part of our thinking, that we wanted to keep it a walkable village. We wanted to have it where people could get to it easily. And he had figured out how to even get the parking in. I think it was still a little shy of the number that the MBLC requires, but you can apply for a variance to have a little less parking because there is parking in the area. So yes, if we follow the feasibility study that the town paid for and we worked with an architect on, we would have it here. And there are plans drawn to have the library here.
Okay. Can I share this idea with the group? So just the notion that another nice spot on Main Street is where the Santander Bank is, slightly larger.
I would love that spot. I mean,
It's a
I brought
beautiful
that spot up.
spot.
I believe that's a 3.5 acre parcel. I don't know what the acreage is.
Oh, it's a wonderful,
Yeah.
I too have thought about that plot, but unfortunately Santander seems to be quite attached to that plot too.
Has anyone checked recently within the past?
Well, no,
5
this was
years?
when the feasibility study was going on. We put out feelers to find out about that particular piece of land, actually, because I thought it was, I agree, it's a wonderful spot. But at that time, there was no movement on that property.
I've never seen anyone go into or out of that bank in all these years. It's like,
They
is
have
it,
no money.
is it operating?
Unfortunately, we don't get to vote on the bank
Right,
board
right,
because,
right. No.
because of
Yeah.
what we see going on
Yeah,
in
it's like
town.
it's just sitting there kind of dead.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I know, it is a beautiful piece of land.
yeah, I love the idea.
Okay,
Okay, so,
the monthly report.
yeah, so monthly report, I'm always looking for something on here that I can highlight because it always looks fine. And I did notice that I sort of focused this time on the trust fund and how year to date, we're ahead of the game in a nice way. Expenditures 5,100, deposits 35,000. So that's the thing I focused on, and everything looks good otherwise on this spreadsheet. If anybody else has, if anyone has any questions, I did study it, but I didn't see anything else that leapt out at me.
Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions about the report? Okay. Thanks,
The
Bill.
only thing I want to say is that every time I walk in here, the meeting room is full. The movie, I came in last Wednesday and the movie was full, and I came in on Saturday and the music program was full. So I think the way we're spending our money is working for the town, which is a really great thing to see.
Sure, definitely. Tavi, do you want to talk about anything from your director's report?
Just a couple of things to add. So at last month's meeting, you all voted approval on the plaque for the Marion Crane Gallery Committee. And one of you, and I think it was you, Bill, had mentioned about, wouldn't it be great to have the life dates of the person on there? And I mentioned, well, the committee didn't really want that, but, I think you were all insistent that there be a date to sort of give it some kind of, a feel of.
At least which century?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
context.
Exactly. So I presented to the committee and they actually said they understood your point and they feel, considering that, it might be more confusing to people to have just the date on there for the context. And so they actually think it would be better to put her life dates on
Great.
there. So they're grateful to you for approving it, and they actually do want to go with the life dates.
Great to hear.
Because they think having that other date, even just for context, would really be more confusing because then people might ask, well, what is this date? Is this the date that, she flourished or that she started doing it? So anyway, so that's what we're going to do. So that was the original.
Great,
plan.
thank
So-
you. That's exciting.
Yeah, and then I just want to mention also that to try to continue the Happenings at Snow Library series, I'm going to bring this up at a staff meeting, which I'm having on Thursday morning, asking if anybody, has any material they would like to present and if they'd be willing to do it. I'm hoping we can get maybe one more, maybe two. It's just hard with other areas, finding enough to talk about and to be able to put in the report. But I am going to bring it up at the staff meeting and see if we can get some more participation.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Tavi?
Assure them it's easier than going to the dentist.
Okay, I've got just a couple of quick things under the chair's report. I'm still in conversation with Rich Waldo, DPW director, about the resurfacing of the parking lot. And so he doesn't have numbers to share back with me. I'll let you know as soon as I hear something. As you can see, we're utilizing our new, the town's new owl camera. Tavi very generously went to make it for this meeting. We really appreciate you doing it for this meeting because I know it was rush, rush, rush. And we had a lot of snow recently in going through your training. And I think it's just great that the town has done this so that we can try and get other meetings being available to other people. We'll see how it goes. When you get a chance, in a few days, click on it and see what you look like on the camera.
It's not Owl Link unless,
Well, I was gonna say that. it's
usually when
recorded.
anyone speaks, it's
It
going
turns.
toward, the camera actually goes, like when she was talking, it would have gone over there.
So it did hoot when I turned it on.
Because I've used them in other libraries when I've been speaking, so
But I noticed that it wasn't, and,
it stays
and
right here.
it's got all of the plugs in everywhere and it's all plugged in and it is being recorded, but I'm not.
It's working, it's just not Owl Link, really.
Well, that's
It's
why
called
we have,
that because
that's why
owls
this
can
is a
rotate
trial
their heads.
Maybe that particular type doesn't do it.
No,
No,
that's what
this
it's
is the
famous
one
for.
Mia brought to me, and what's supposed to happen is like when I walk around, if I'm
Right.
talking,
It should be facing
You're
Tavi
good.
right now.
yeah,
okay.
so,
All right.
but I'll explore it and we'll
Yeah.
find out for the next time. So.
It's okay.
The last item is this spring, 2 trustee slots will be opening up. Lindsay has decided that she's going to run again, so she's going to
Good.
stay a trustee, which I'm very grateful for because it's wonderful to have her input. Joan's term is a completion of a 6-year period, so there'll be 1 slot opening up. If any of you know anybody who you think might make a good candidate and they have any questions, send them in my direction so that I can have a conversation with them. Papers are due in a period of time. I think it's in March that everything has to be returned, early in March. So this is the month to make progress on that. Let me
Yeah,
know.
because you have to have a certain number of signatures when you submit your papers.
Yeah, it's not a huge amount, 40 or something.
It felt like
Yeah.
a lot to me.
If you
In
reach
the
out-
winter.
Reach out to all your friends. Okay, so we've got minutes from January 6th. Looking for an approval. Can anybody make a motion to approve those minutes?
I thought you were raising your hand.
Oh. I'm happy to make a motion to approve the minutes of January 6th.
I second it.
Okay. Any changes or edits to the minutes? Not all those all in favor, just say aye. Okay, so we've got 5-0 on that. Okay. Sorry to make you wait for such a long time, Pat. We're saving the best for last.
Right.
A report from the Friends representative. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. The treasurer's report is our gross profit year-to-date from July to December of 2025 was about $77,000. And this was about $17,000 higher than last year due to increased revenue from book sales. Lifetime Learning, the later start to our membership drive, and our first annual appeal. The year-to-date contribution expenses were about $22,500, which is lower than this time last year, mainly due to the timing of the payment of certain periodicals. Operating expenses year-to-date were almost $17,000 up from last year, mainly due to printing and mailing expenses for our annual appeal. The investment income year-to-date was about $28,000, and our year-to-date net income was about $66,000, and this is about $23,400 higher than last year due to higher investment income, higher gross profit, and the timing of payments for periodicals and other contributions. Those payments for periodicals are mentioned in every meeting. They throw off everything, but they're okay.
Okay.
The other news is Susan Piachik, who was on the membership committee, resigned from the board after many years of service. Allison Rilling, who was our print media publicity chair, resigned as well. And Pat Hayes moved into Allison's position, so we have a member at large position to fill. Lifetime Learning registration for the winter spring session began this week for the Friends of Snow Library members. And if you are not currently a member, you can join at the library and register this week. Everyone else can register starting February 9th.
Any questions?
I might help you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Lifetime learning, if you haven't seen the folder, is amazing. Last year, maybe I signed up for 2. This year, I think I want 6.
Really? That's great.
A great variety this year.
Yeah, it's a wonderful program.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it for the meeting. Does anybody have anything else that they wanted to mention before we adjourn? All
I
right,
move that we adjourn.
what? You motion, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks so much. I'm 3 minutes late.
My husband's doing pickup.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I'm off the hook.
Oh, nice.
Wasn't, had we talked to Amy last year
No,
about the trustees?
I don't get.
No?
The name doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, that's,
Tavi,
I thought.
because the microphone
I
is going
I
into
got
this.
the teacher
If it's
and I
getting
thought
the
she said,
sound
"Oh,
through
I
the
was kind of thinking
microphone,
about that."
so it's